We're so glad to have you all here to join this 20th anniversary of the Old Spanish Trail, kind of a special conference. If you don't know, we have an annual conference every year, and it moves around the 6 western states. So Arizona, it's great that we're able to host the 20th anniversary, kind of a special conference. And next year we'll be in California, I think. So if you have a wonderful time, be looking, I'm not sure the month, but there'll be notices come out in Spanish Traces. So anyway, you can get in sync and with these annual conferences, and it's really a fun way to learn about the trail, meet new people. I'm going to take care of, my name is Paul Ostapuk, if we haven't talked before. I'm a longtime member of OSTA, live here in Page, part of the Ojino chapter. I want to take a moment and acknowledge the ancestral lands that we're gathering at. You know, it's a true statement that we follow in the paths of others. But at the same time, we're all embarked on our own personal journey. And what's so cool is that an event like this, you know, all of our separate paths have all come together at this moment in time. So it's kind of neat. And in this particular area, the ancestral lands have ties to the Southern Paiute and the Hopi, Navajo, Mizuni, Havasupai. Those are just a few of the local tribes that have strong connections, both physically and emotionally, to this landscape and to the events that have taken place over centuries. And I was looking at that map last night at the reception, the beautiful map there at the Uncanny Conservancy. And you could see the geology, all the layers of geology kind of expanded out there. But what occurred to me as Rachel was speaking, the landscape's not just layered by the geology, it's also layered by the sands of time and the whole course of human history. It's amazing, you know, when you just look at that landscape and where the trail and the setting, all of that is all connected. So I'm proud to be part of OSTA because we recognize and want to celebrate all those diverse cultures and the stories. And it's only by sharing our cultures and stories that we gain new perspectives, you know, just maybe one small step at a time. But trails have a way of doing that, you know, bringing us all together. So our conference theme this year is Dust to Gold, and we're celebrating 20 years as a National Historic Trail. It's the story of footsteps of many, many people. And you'll learn today about the roots of OSTA that go back 30 years to some ruts in the ground in Colorado that was near a planned landfill. That inspired a group of activists that help now preserve a piece of Western history. So Dust to Gold, you know, kind of has that literal meaning, you know, a Castile trail, ruts in the trail. And now, you know, we've hit pay dirt, you know, we've become a National Historic Trail. That was kind of a big step. But it can also stand for an even broader metaphor if you think about it. So the conference program was set up to give you a whole sampling of that theme. So it involves the chase to get that national status, the eureka moment of doing research, whether that's in the field or in a library somewhere, you really connect some dots. We're going to have a session on the search for lost gold and artifacts. We'll have a photographer come in, Arizona highway photographer that likes to chase those golden rays of light in the morning at sunset. There's the talk on the economy of the Old Spanish Trail, because this was a commercial trade route. So it was like the very first commercial chamber of commerce in a way, you know, businesses looking for opportunity. It's an interesting time period from 1829 to 1848. And now we have richer experiences, you know, cultural heritage, tourism is gaining momentum. So tomorrow we have a whole session in the morning, Saturday morning, about heritage tourism on the Navajo Nation. And then we even have a magic show planned for tomorrow night. So things may not be what they appear to be. But the bottom line is, you know, what we call golden, it's really in the eye of the beholder. So looking back, we've accomplished a lot, but the journey is all out ahead of us. You know, we're really just beginning in many ways. 20 years is nothing to really celebrate. The historic trails, you know, don't have the recognition of National Scenic Trails. But Rob Sweeten and others are going to give talks to show you how we're bringing this trail alive with new recreation opportunities. So anyway, thank you for attending the conference. I hope you can leave with a new sense of appreciation for the trail and inspiration for the future. So we're going to kick the first session here is it's going to be a panel discussion. And Lynn, do you want to come up and introduce our first speaker? Lynn's our executive director of the Old Spanish Trail.
I just wanted to say a couple of things about the anniversary and the celebration. When I first mentioned it, some people said, 20 years, what's the big deal for 20 years? You know, it's like, but it is a big deal. And the more we bring it up, the more I am uncovering people. Part of my job is to go around and visit the different chapters. And it's been amazing, the response when I've talked to people in the San Luis Valley and in Taos and Albuquerque and Santa Fe, how important it is for our members to realize that this is a big deal, a celebration. And this year marks the anniversary of when the Old Spanish Trail received federal designation as an addition to the National Trail System. These events are so important that we acknowledge and celebrate because there wouldn't be any markers or milestones by which we could judge history, and also we can reflect on the past to better envision what we want to do in the future. So there are many who worked diligently, and I'm just going to mention a few. I know Earl and Rob and Jill will mention more, but I recently visited the San Luis Valley and the La Vereda del Norte chapter, and they were so excited that we were going to celebrate. And so they're going to do some events in Del Norte and Monte Vista, but they wanted me to mention how important it was for their chapter, who initiated a lot of this designation, and that was Ron Kessler. Some of you may know him. He's passed away. I wish I could have interviewed him, but it was also Pat Richmond, Ruth Marie Coble, Ken Fry, Suzanne Off, and these were people behind the scenes that really worked diligently to lobby, research, and make this trail federally designated. So I also went to visit an old friend of mine, Senator Nyquist Campbell, and his wife Linda. And they live in Ignacio, and Ben talked about his love of the trail. It goes right through his backyard in Ignacio. And so he, well, not right in his yard, because I'm sure one of you are going to tell me that it was over there and not there. But near his backyard. He has a big ranch in Ignacio. And he talked about, when he was senator, how he introduced legislation to the U.S. Senate to direct the National Park Service to study the trail for the possible inclusion of the National Trail System. And he was so enthusiastic. Ben is up there in age and wanted to come to this conference, but he couldn't make it. And so, but he was so enthusiastic about the way he talked about the trail. And he said it was after that, it was 8 years after the study, that the NPS found, proving that the Old Spanish Trail was worthy to meet the criteria of the historic trail. And that was 20 years ago, December 4th, 20 years ago. So Senator Nyquist expressed how pleased he was that we were celebrating this event and this milestone, and how important it was to save our common heritage and pay tribute to this diverse part of history. Another person that I was hoping could be here was Joseph Sanchez. He's in Albuquerque at the Spanish Colonial Center, retired Park Service, but he was part of that study. And he talked about how he probably walked the entire trail, researching and looking at documents, And he was part of the team, and I know there are other people that were part of the team, but I'm just going to mention Joseph. And he again talked about how important that the Old Spanish Trail became a notable part of history. So in the next for the rest of the year, we're going to be celebrating with different events. And I just want to mention Leanne Brown in the audience. She has worked with the Salida del Sol chapter, and she's putting together a tricultural event at La Fonda Hotel in Santa Fe, and it's going to be Nathan Strong-Elk, Southern Youth Travel member, Joseph Sanchez, going to talk about the history, and a descendant of Kit Carson, John Carson. I think he's his great-great-great-grandson. And so and you're all invited. We'll be sending newsletters out. So do you all get the newsletters that are all positive? And we'll be able to tell you what events every state is going to do something. And so we're going to keep you informed about what's going on. And if you have an idea for something that you want to do, please contact me. You know how to get a hold of me. So anyway, welcome and thank you all for being here.